Hi, my name is Matt Philippi, and this is a demo on how to connect Microsoft Power BI Desktop to a SQL Server Database instance. If you go into Power BI Desktop, you'll see a button here that says Get Data, SQL Server. If I expand more here, you will see down here SQL Server Database. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Matt Philippi, CP and Business Intelligence Architect. You also find me on YouTube. You go to YouTube, search my name, and you'll find my channel with other demos. We will be downloading a sample database from GitHub to Blob storage, Azure Blob storage. We will then launch a SQL Server instance on an Azure VM. We won't be using the platform as a service database. We will actually be using the same thing as the on-premise, just on an Azure VM. We'll also be using SQL Server Management Studio to do that activity of importing the database. And then we will be using Power BI to extract data and then do some data modeling and then build a dashboard. We'll be using cloud services. So as I like to say, I won't be using security and cost best practices. It's your job to understand that if you're going to use these services. This is just a demo. So as I said before, 10 steps. GitHub, download a sample database. Azure, we're going to take that database, put it in a Blob storage account, and then we're going to launch a SQL Server instance on Azure VM. SQL Server Management Studio, connect to that SQL Server instance. SQL Server Management Studio, again, we'll import the worldwide importers backpack file. Then we'll get into Power BI Desktop. We'll use the Get Data button, SQL Server Database Data Connector, import the data. Then we're going to model the data, build a simple dashboard, and then I'm going to do some steps, just duplicate those steps in Excel Power Pivot, which is one of the really cool things about Power BI Desktop, just how Excel and Power BI have the same modeling capabilities. And then finally at the very end I'm going to delete the resource group so we stop paying for our Azure services. Very critical. Step one, we're going to go to GitHub and download the Wide World Importers full backpack file. So it's important to follow this carefully and make sure you get the right file. So I'm going to go out to Google and search Wide World Importers backpack. You'll see it says releases. Click on that. Okay, scroll down here. Wide World Importer Sample Database 1.0. We are going to use this file right here. So the backpack file, Wide World Importers full. So I know we're actually going to be using SQL Server 2016, but it's okay. We can use this one. So just download Wide World Importers full backpack. There, downloading. Step two, we're going to take that backpack file that we just downloaded and we're going to upload it to a Blob storage account. So I am logged into Azure. I'm actually using Edge here, but you can use your browser of choice. But in the Azure world, I like to kind of try to stay with the Microsoft products. Yeah, I know I just use Google, but I use Edge. Why not? So I'm going to go over here, click on the storage account buttons. I'm just going to create a Power BI demo. So I'll call it Power BI demo. It is unique in the Azure world, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to create a new resource group, one of my favorite Azure features. I'll call it Power BI Demo. Pin to dashboard, create, and I'll pause it while it's creating. Okay, that's completed. So I'm at my dashboard here. You can see the storage account. You can always get to your dashboard, of course, by clicking in the upper left-hand corner. So I'm going to click on my storage account. I'm going to create a container. So click on container. Then click up here, container. It's going to be Power BI Demo container, same exact name. Private. And click on the container itself. Come over here to upload. Go in here. Find the location where you downloaded the backpack file from GitHub. Okay. So for me, that is documents. I have it right here. Sample database, there it is, worldwide importers, full backpack file, open, and then upload. There, uploading. And I'll pause it. Okay, great. Took about 10 seconds and it's uploaded. Step 3, we're going to launch a SQL Server instance on an Azure VM. And to be clear, we're not launching the platform as service, Azure SQL Database. We are doing just a standard SQL Server instance, but it's on an Azure VM. And I could have gone out to the Microsoft site and downloaded a trial version of SQL Server and installed it on my desktop and done this demo from there. But hey, why? I mean, you just go out to Azure and you can launch the instance way easier, way faster, the power of the cloud. So we just download the file. I'm just going to go back here to my desktop. Okay, I'm going to hit the plus button right here. Okay, I'm going to go to databases. Right down here, here's the SQL Server 2016 Enterprise. Clicked on that. I'll just call this Power BI Demo. I'll put my name in here. Username. Password. So you need a really strong password here. At least 12 characters, I believe. Okay. Remember we had created a resource group earlier. I really like this, so called this Power BI Demo. We had actually created this resource group. So now we're actually including a SQL Server VM in that resource group along with the storage account we had just created, which will come in handy when we want to delete these resources. So I'm going to click OK. Virtual machine size. Okay, 4 cores, 8 cores, 8 cores. Well, this is recommended. I think this might be a little Microsoft trick. I'm going to put view all. I'm going to go with 1 core, $98 a month. Select. Okay. This is okay. No changes here. Configure SQL Server settings. Okay, important change here. I'm going to change this to public, opening up port 1433, which is the default port in SQL Server. Also, this is very important, SQL Server authentication. This is how you'll log in through Power BI Desktop. We won't be using Windows Active Directory, Windows login. We'll be using just a straight SQL login for this demo. Okay, and it already copies over my password and my login name, which is nice. And then I'm not going to change anything here. And then it's validating, validation passed, and then purchase. Now it's going to launch it, and as part of that, I'm just going to set up the clock here, run the clock while it's deploying, and then I'll pause the video. Okay, we're just over 9 minutes in, still deploying, so I'm going to pause it again. Okay, finished. Approximately 11 minutes and 42 seconds. You'll get to the screen for the virtual machine, but I'm going to go back to my dashboard here real quick. I'm going to go to resource groups right here. I'm going to find my Power BI Demo resource group, and then now we can see the resources we have here. So we just created this virtual machine. We had previously created the storage account right here. Step 4, time to connect Management Studio here to the SQL Server instance. So the first thing I'm going to do here actually is, remember I was at a resource group, and then click on the resource group. I created the Power BI Demo resource group, and then I can go into the Power BI Demo IP, public IP address. I can click on that, go to configuration, and you don't have to do this, but I'm going to do this. I just like to do it. Okay, this will have to be unique. Okay, and so I had to click out of here. It checked it. It gave me a check mark, says that it's okay. So I'm going to actually save the DNS name. It's just a habit I like to do. Okay. And then now I'm going to go back to my resource groups, find Power BI demo. Okay. And here's my VM. Go to the VM, Power BI demo VM. Okay, so on the Power BI demo virtual machine, you can see the DNS name here. And this is important because this is actually used for two things. So we could remote into RDP into the VM itself using this. Okay, right? Remote desktop connection, come in and paste it in here, put in those credentials we used earlier. But also for purposes of this demo, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to Management Studio here. I'm going to go to Connect, Database, okay, paste, and then remember those authentication credentials that we had used earlier for SQL Server, and these were actually copied over. So we created one set of credentials, one for the VM when we originally set it up, and then when I chose SQL Server authentication, it just copied those credentials over so that they're actually the exact same, and then you hit connect. Okay, there we're connected. So the important thing is if you can't get connected, obviously you need to use your login credentials. The other part is you need to make port 1433 public, and then also you did have to activate the SQL Server credentials. So here we are connected to our database instance in actually our SQL Server instance, and there are no databases other than the system databases, the master model, and so on. Step 5. Okay, we're connected to the instance. Now we're going to import the database. So I'm going to go out to Management Studio here. I'm going to go to Databases, highlight Databases. I'm going to right click. I'm going to put Import Data Tier Application. Okay, then I'll go and, so this is a wizard to import a backpack file. I'm going to hit Next. Okay, import from Windows Azure. So I will click on that and click Connect. Okay, so a couple things here. I'll need to go out and, so that it's called, so if you remember, I'm going to actually quickly go back to resource groups, Power BI demo. Okay, here's the storage account. Click on the Power BI demo storage account. Okay, and then you will go over here to access keys. Okay, and then you can see storage account name, Power BI demo, key 1. So I'm going to copy that key. Key 1, copy that key. Then go back out here. So I'm going to actually change the storage account name to Power BI demo. I'm going to copy the account key. Okay, might as well save it. And then hit connect. Okay. I'm going to click next. So sorry, actually real quick here, you can see it found the backpack file right here. So the storage account container backpack right here, just automatically found it. I'm going to hit next. New database name. I'll just use the same name that it's pulling in. I'm going to click next. And then I'm going to click finish. Okay. And then it's going to go through some steps here, and I'll start the clock so we can see how long this takes. So going 13 seconds in, I'm going to pause the video. Okay, it's done. 4 minutes and 45 seconds, so less than 5 minutes. And what I really like about this is just the automation around this. I mean, it imported the schema, and then it had to import the data. So if you look in here, there's several steps that are automated. We could have done all this through scripts, and the scripts are actually out available on GitHub. But it imported the schema, and then in order to do a bulk import of the data, which could take a long time based on the indexes and the keys, it actually disabled the indexes right here. So you can see unique and foreign key, and then imported the data, and then processed the table, and then enabled them back again under a bulk import. And then this is all done in less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to go back to Management Studio here, and then I'm going to highlight databases, and then I'm going to hit the refresh button here, and then you can see there's our database right there. Worldwide import is full, and then the tables, and then hey, there's even some views in here. Step 6, we're going to use Power BI Desktop and get the data from that SQL Server Database connector. So I got Power BI, get data, okay, get data. SQL Server's right here. If you don't see it, you can go over here to Database, SQL Server Database, connect. And then remember, we need to use our SQL Server authentication credentials. And then of course the server is, if I go back to, let's see, your resource groups, Power BI demo, just as a reminder, same credentials we use to log into Management Studio. So Power BI demo, that's the DNS name for the Power BI demo virtual machine. So I'm going to put that in here. Okay. A couple other options. We're not going to do this right now. We're not going to write a SQL statement. So I'm not going to choose the database here, but I'm going to hit OK. Use my current credentials. Okay, so really important here. Again, we're not using Windows authentication. We're using SQL Server authentication. So these are the credentials, same credentials that I used for Management Studio. I will use here. Connect. Encryption support, okay. Okay, great. And then I'm going to select the worldwide importers here. Actually hit the button, and then there you can see the tables. So same group of tables that were available over here in Management Studio. And then the views as well. So I think the views are, the views are the double things right here, and the tables are right there, just the single. Step 7, model the data. So I'm going to go into Power BI here, and I'm going to preface this with, now we're getting into data modeling activities, data warehousing activities, star schemas, snowflake schemas, data marts. And the paradigms around old data warehouses and data marts are quickly changing, and it doesn't mean that they're not still relevant. It's just that the new technologies and the new tools can eliminate a lot of that and that workload, instead of having to set up data warehouses and use all the resources to get those to work right. So I'm not going to go into a big discussion. So some basic principles here. You need to understand in your data the difference between a fact table and a dimension table. Fact tables usually contain all of the data. Dimension tables are much smaller in size. So for purposes of Power BI and data modeling, I like to just download the entire dimension table. It can be a customer table, it can be a vendor table, usually the master tables. And then for the fact tables, either create a SQL query or use a view or even a data warehouse concepts. So real quickly here, I'm going to go down and just select some tables. So this gives me the option to download the whole table. So the first thing I'm going to look at is sales order and sales order lines. Now these would be fact tables that usually I would want to import together. We're going to have to join the order table and the order line table together. But for me, a best practice would be just what I said, write a SQL statement or use a view or use a data warehouse. So you can just select exactly what you need and not import extra data into your model from your fact table. Okay, so I'm actually going to highlight orders here so we can see a customer ID. Okay, I'll just assume that the customer table, so that would be a product table right there. I'm okay downloading that whole table under normal circumstances. And then maybe let's go back here. Salesperson ID. Okay, I don't know, I'm just going to guess here. This is applications people, so I'll download that whole table. That would be a dimension table. And then I'm going to hit load, and then we'll see how long it takes to load this. Might as well set the clock up because I like to benchmark these things. So you can see the sales order table and the order line table. The order line, several 100,000 rows. Sales customer, a lot smaller number of rows. And then it just detected the relationships there. Okay, so like 15 seconds to download the data. And so I'll get rid of that. Okay, if we go over here, you can actually see the table, and we can do some transformations here, some pretty powerful transformations. Again, another step that's in Power Pivot and Power BI Desktop that usually data warehouse and ETL activities in the past might have done that workload, but you can do a lot of that right in here. So really powerful. So I'm over here. This is the actual data itself. And then finally, I'm going to not do any of that for purposes of this demo, and I'm just going to go straight to the models. And then here's the 4 tables that we downloaded, and then it automatically established relationships, which I don't like at all. As a best practice, I like to establish them myself so I can understand what's in there. Really, it is just guessing. It's really dangerous to use this. So I'm going to start deleting these. I'm going to highlight this one. I'm going to delete the relationship. I don't know of a faster way. I've used these manage relationship buttons, but sometimes it doesn't work as fast. It's just faster that I go in and delete these one-on-one. So I'll pause that while I do it. Okay, it didn't take me very long to delete all the relationships for the models. So, okay, so sales order line table. That's my fact table. So I'm going to try to do the best I can to do a star schema and really be more like a snowflake schema. Sales order table over here. Okay, yeah. This is all, I'm not very familiar with this data, but basically all ERP systems, NetSuite, Oracle Financials, Great Plains, Dynamics, whatever. They all have their they all have their header tables and the line tables and then the master tables. It's all the same. It's all data, all in relational databases, all the same. So I'm going to highlight order ID, drag a line to sales orders. Okay. And then from sales orders, I'm going to drag customers over here. Okay, customer ID, that's probably the same. And then applications people, I don't know. I'm going to guess here. Person ID, salesperson ID. I don't know if this is right, but anyway, we'll establish. Oop, that didn't work. Or maybe it did. What's the relationship here? Let me delete that, make sure I get it right. And the other thing is, so I can highlight this line I can double click on the line and it'll bring me up the relationship. So I can edit those. Just for purposes of this, generally speaking, many to one relationships. If you go into another world, one to many, you're starting to add complexity, but this is a very basic model. So here's my facts table connected to the sales order table, and then I have some dimension tables off of that, and then normally I would actually connect these, I would import these as one single table. So there is our model, and then we can start to do some dashboarding. Step 8, time to build a dashboard. So I'm going to click the line up here, go up here, do my dashboarding page. So just like I talked about in the models, now we're going to create data visualization. Doesn't matter what tool you use, Power BI, Tableau, Click. There's a new BI visualization tool being created every day. It's really about data visualization and best practices. And a lot has changed in just the last 5 years. Just like I said, data modeling, there's best practices in data visualization. There's best practices that apply to whatever data viz application you're going to use. So I'm not going to get into that. The point here is just to create a simple visualization. I'm going to do one thing here before I start. And again, I'm not going to get into super detail on this, but I'm going to go to over here. I'm going to go to the order line table. I'm going to model. I'm going to create a new column. I'm going to call it sales dollars. And then I'm going to actually create a calculation here. So sales order of line quantity times unit price. And again, without getting into tons of details here, why we're doing it this way as opposed to measures, I've now calculated sales dollars at the line level, at the road level in the data, the detail. Okay, so now you can see sales dollars there. I'm going to go back to the report here. Okay, and then we can just create a simple bar chart. So order date by year. Just going to unclick those just to give me the year. I'm going to click sales dollars. I'm going to say, hey, why not just give me a simple bar chart here. I could do like this, time series. Okay, so sales dollars by year. And go to the filter here. I can say, hey, turn on my data labels. Hey, make the labels larger. You know, there's all sorts of things we can do here. I could change the data colors. That's fine. Okay, so there we go. Hey, my x-axis. Yeah, okay. So sales dollars by year. I could change the title just to get the underscore out of there. I can make the title bigger. Okay, great. Okay, let's create another chart here. Why not do by salesperson over the last 4-year period? Okay, I'll just pick application people. Take that, drag it out there. Come down here to sales order line, find that calculated column that I created, drag that in there. Okay, I have no idea, I don't know this data at all, so I haven't validated it, but I could also just do the same thing here. Now we got sales dollars by person. Hey, go in, let's put a label on here. Okay, let's, you know, we only want one label, we only want one decimal. Why don't we display it in millions just like here? Okay, we can make it bigger. And there we got salesperson by name. So just real basic visualization. But yes, best practices, you could go in, I could go into hours and hours and hours. So there's our viz. Step 9. Okay, normally I wouldn't include this, but since this is Power BI, one of the really great features of Power BI is it's Microsoft. And the data extraction, the get data, importing data, whatever you want to call it, and the data modeling, it's the same engine, really. The interface is not exactly the same, but it is exactly the same. You can share models between Power Pivot and Power BI Desktop. So what I want to do is just go in here to Excel. If you go over to Account here, and then you click on About Excel, you can see I'm using 2016 64-bit Excel. And the 64-bit allows me to import as much data as I want up to the amount of memory that I have on my laptop or desktop or even a virtual machine that I could be using in the cloud. Whereas 32-bit, you're limited on the amount of memory and data. So as a best practice, you should use Excel 2016 64-bit. So I'm just going to go to New here, blank workbook. You can see I have a Data tab. Again, this is Excel 2016 64-bit. I'm going to go to a new query. I'm going to go to from database, from SQL Server. Okay. Okay. So this is the exact same as Power BI Desktop right here. And then remember, I was in my Power BI VM, the DNS name. Okay. So server. Okay. It's going to be the exact same thing. Okay. I'm going to skip this again. No SQL statement. Not even going to put it in the database. I'm going to hit OK. Okay. Remember, we're not using Windows authentication. We're using database. Same credentials when we launch the SQL Server on the VM. Connect. You're going to see exactly the same thing. Okay. Same thing here. Okay, this is a little different. You have to select multiple items in order to see all of these. In Power BI Desktop, you didn't have to do that. It just automatically did that. So sales order, sales order line, customers, and then application people. Okay, I'm going to hit load. And you'll see it happening over here. This is something I like about Excel Power Pivot better than Power BI. I just like the interfaces. It's the same engine, but the interfaces are just slightly different. The Excel Power Pivot just seems to be a lot more advanced and a lot more intuitive. But like I said, I can create a model in here, and then I can go import it into Power BI and vice versa. So now you can see I have the workbook queries over here. So if I I don't know, I go to a different page right here, or I click out of here, then I go to data, then I come back and show the queries. Really like how it does this. And then over here, I can highlight a table, a data source. I can click edit. And then now I can come in and do my transformations here. Again, I like this interface better than the Power BI interface. It's a little more advanced, but it's the same exact thing. This model works. This model would work. And then if I go back to the Power Pivot up here, this is where you build the data model. So I clicked on Manage. Okay, again, I like this interface. All my measures are down here for this table. Now this is the data view. If I go back to the diagram view, you can see that it's exactly the same thing. It did automatically establish all these relationships. And if I was doing this, I would go through and I would delete all of these, and then I would reestablish the relationships the best I can. Again, I don't like it when it automates this because it's essentially guessing. And if you get it wrong, it's a humongous problem. So, and then let's see here. If I close this here, yeah, and then I could, in theory, save this and share this out and import it into Power BI. So really powerful feature about Power BI is its compatibility with the models in Excel Power Pivot. Step 10, the very important step here. If you want to stop paying Azure, if you want to stop paying Microsoft, like I said, this is the last step. So I'm going to go up to my dashboard here. We want to make sure we delete all the resources. The best way to do that is to use a resource group and get all your resources together. So I'm going to click on the left-hand side, go to my resource group. This is called Power BI Demo. Okay, here's all the resources we just used. And here's the best part about using this resource group. I hit delete, and then I type in the resource group name, Power BI Demo. Okay, that's good. And then it deletes. Okay, so now deleting, you can see deleting here. A message came up here. And then over here, anyway, I go back to my resource group. So I don't know, may take a few minutes, 10, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, but I can see up here that the whole resource group is being deleted. And at some point I would double check to make sure. I wouldn't just assume, you should always understand to be checking what's being used and what you're being charged for and whether you're even using it at all. So, but this is a really nice control. So that concludes this demo on how to connect Microsoft Power BI to a SQL Server instance on an Azure VM I am out on LinkedIn, CPA and Business Intelligence. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and you can also I have more videos on how to connect data to various business intelligence applications on YouTube. Matt Philippi is my channel. Thank you for watching.